Hey, welcome back once again, all you CISSP wannabes. I am Colin Weaver. These are the IT Dojo CISSP questions of the day, where I come at you when I come at you with 2 questions to help you as you continue to prepare for your CISSP exam. So, let's go. Question number 1 today is, which of the following is a violation of the principle of least privilege? I want you to pick 2 of the answers. So I'm going to put them up. Click on pause, think about it, decide what the answer is going to be. When you're ready, click play, and we'll break it all down. All right, answer choice number 1 says it is a violation of least privilege if you give an auditor read and write privileges to log files or audit logs. Yes. Now I know what you're thinking. You're going, no, Colin, that can't be right. Auditors need to be able to read log files, right? Yeah, but they don't need to be able to write to them. So if you give somebody both read and write who only needs read, you just violated least privilege. Easy to do. Least privilege gets violated a lot. So number 1, or the first choice there, is one of the correct answers. Let's keep going. Answer choice number 2 says that you install access control units on elevators in order to control access to floors for which only that user or a given user is authorized. No. That sounds like a great use or a great implementation of the concept of least privilege. Don't just have an elevator that goes to every floor. If somebody gets on an elevator, if it's a higher security facility, then they have to say, have a card key or some other mechanism of access, and the elevator will only go to the floors that they're supposed to go to in order to do their job. If they want to go to some other floor, not going to happen. So that's not one of the right answers here, because that is a good example of implementing least privilege. Choice number 3 says requiring users to only enter a username and password in order to log into a system. If you pick this one, it's because I was trying to come up with something to trick you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with only requiring users to enter a username and password. In the back of your mind, you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, well, using usernames and passwords is the suck, and we should be using multi-factor authentication mechanisms in order to control access, because that's what all the cool kids do. And the answer is the majority of the world still makes use of just usernames and passwords to gain access to systems, and it is in no way, shape, or form a violation of least privilege. All right, how about the next answer choice? You place a Linux sysadmin into the domain admins group in Active Directory. Yeah, that's a violation of least privilege. What happens if a user account is placed into the domain admins group in Active Directory? It becomes a domain admin. So does a Linux sysadmin need to be a domain admin with control over all of the workstations and all of the other Windows servers in the environment? No. So you may have put him in that group for some particular reason. You wanted him to have some particular privilege, but I'm pretty confident it wasn't to be administrator of all, because their job is to be a Linux sysadmin. So that is very much a violation of least privilege if you go in and do that. So don't. All right, and just for good measure, the last answer choice says that you grant software developers access to production systems. Now, that is a violation of concepts of separation of duties. In no way, shape, or form should software developers, as software developers, be given access to production systems. Do not confuse the fact that, hey, software developers are people too. They need to access to production systems because they need to do things like, email and browse the internet. But when they're doing those things in the context of a regular old everyday user, not as a software developer. There needs to be a separation between their privileges and functionalities as a software developer versus just regular old everyday user stuff. But if you give a software developer access to a production system from a software development capacity, that's a problem. So it's not a violation of least privilege, but it is a violation from a separation of duties perspective. So it's not the right answer that we're looking for here. It's in here intentionally to try and distract you. And so hopefully you didn't pick that one, but I can understand if you did. So yeah. All right, let's go on to question number 2. Hey, if you're digging these questions, do 3 things for me. 1, click like or dislike. Well, hopefully you like them, so you click like. 2, subscribe. And 3, if you love my t-shirt and you feel like you need a t-shirt like this just for yourself, there's a link below where you can buy one, and that will actually support me. So if you want one, buy one, and I'll appreciate it. Thanks. Your risk analysis team is overwhelmed with the process of gathering information and examining what-if scenarios. Given that information, which of these answer choices would you consider to be the best action to take? Give those choices a look. Think about it. When you got the right answer, go ahead and unpause if you paused it, and then we will talk it all through. All right, how about choice number 1? Let's make the team bigger. It is quite possible that increasing the size of the team would reduce the amount of work per individual. However, that isn't necessarily practical. Either A, you may not have the resources to actually increase the size of your team, or B, you may not have the budget to do so. So the likelihood of that being the best answer is pretty small. I'm not saying it wouldn't work or couldn't work, but the chances that it's the best, no. And remember, on the CISSP exam, it's not that only one answer is right and all the other answers are wrong. It's that one answer is going to be more preferred over another answer, although both of them actually could be technically correct answers. So, and that's one of the funky things about this exam that you're going to have to sort through, is being able to weed all that stuff out. So I don't think answer choice number 1 is going to be the right one. So let's keep going and look at choice number 2. Choice number 2 says, switch to a fully qualitative approach. Hey, qualitative approaches are comparatively easy because they are more touchy-feely, if you will. They really don't require empirical data. They require the opinions and insights and perspectives of people who have experience in a particular area. So a bunch of research and things like that isn't necessarily something that people have to go in and do when you're doing a qualitative approach. Whereas in a quantitative approach, you're typically going to be trying to actually assign numbers and values to these things so that it's easier for us as humans to understand. And the chances of that being the correct answer, also not particularly high, because it's unlikely that something's going to be purely quantitative or purely qualitative. In practical application, it would be a little bit of both. And so let's keep moving on and see if we can find a better answer than that one. Hey, how about we implement an automated risk analysis tool or an automated risk management tool? Yes, very much so. There's some pretty slick software. There's lots of different vendors that offer software that can greatly facilitate and enhance your ability to perform this process. If you try and do it all manually, one, it isn't necessarily organized because it's highly dependent upon your organizational skills. Two, you're really at the mercy of the perspectives and insight of the individuals who are participating in the process. And, although I'm sure they're wonderful and good, they may miss something. And three, it just takes a lot of time. If you use automated software tools, it can greatly speed up the process. It can reduce the overall amount of time it takes for it to get finished. And it also has a tremendous capacity to be more thorough because the software comes pre-programmed with a lot of things that you could consider that you might not otherwise have considered. So those are just a few of the benefits of going in and making use of an automated tool. And very much so in this scenario, I'm going to lean towards that being the right answer. But let's go ahead and look at the others to make sure. All right, how about we reevaluate the scope of the risk analysis team's work? Hey boss, this is hard. And your boss says, okay, well, we'll just not do as much work. Come on. Yes, there's a time and a place when you realize that maybe you task people with too much. But in the case of needing to go in and do risk management, no, it needs to be done. So going in and saying, oh, well, we'll just do less mitigation of risk or less risk management doesn't seem like a practical answer choice to actually go in and take action on. All right, and then the last choice is, hey, let's just limit the number of risks we consider. Like there's some kind of magical cutoff and be like, we're not going to consider more than, say, 2 risks or 3 risks. If there happen to be 5, sucks to be that because we only consider 3. So no, that would be a terrible idea. So let's not do that either. So no, that's not the right answer. All right, 2 more questions down. Hope you dug them. See you next time. Bye.